Welcome to BIB 494, Biblical Theology and the Difficult Passages of Scripture. I'm really excited about our class and what we're going to be able to do together this semester. Biblical theology is near and dear to my heart, and working through difficult passages in Scripture has been something I've been involved with since I was 18 or 19 years old. So I think that we're going to have a great time together as we do this class. And I wanted to go over just a few odds and ends in the syllabus. I'm sure you might have some questions. Everything that you'll need will be on this course information content page. And we have our syllabus here. And basically, what we're going to do in this class is on the first day of class, as we get to know each other, I'm going to send around a sheet of paper, and I want you to put down on that sheet of paper some of the difficult passages that you would like us to explore. And you can just write it anywhere on the page. It won't be just be in a random order. And if you see something on there that you agree, hey, let's look at that, just put a check mark, and we're going to dive into those as the semester progresses. How we'll start is just kind of going over some of the passages that I initially found very difficult in the Bible. I suppose when I became a Christian at 18, there were probably 20, 25 things that were really hard that I couldn't really get my head around. And over the years of looking at biblical theology and the beauty of the meta-narrative, I have to say 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 of those have gone from being problems to being incredibly beautiful. And so what I want us to do in this class is to kind of look at the process of how you tackle a difficult idea, and so or a difficult passage. And so what we'll do the first few times is go through the ones that I've kind of worked through and see the beauty of the meta-narrative and how that helps. And then what I want to do is to teach you how to begin to tackle a passage as well. And so the requirement for this class will be a little strange. And let me show you what I mean. So basically, the requirements are you need to come to class. I will have everyone who's willing to do it introduce themselves, tell a little bit interesting. And we'll do this over the course of the semester. We won't do it everyone on the first day, but every day when we'll start, maybe one or two people can just take a minute or two and tell a little bit about themselves. But the main requirement for this class will be a presentation and a final paper. And the presentation will be kind of a rough draft of the paper, be a 20-minute presentation, and it's just your problem text and looking at some of the issues. So as I said, when I started many years ago, there were 25 or 30 passages that really tripped me up, and there are not as many now, but there are some that I still don't quite have my mind around. But what I want to help teach you how to do is not find the answer. I can't guarantee that you'll find the answer, but I will introduce you a process that will send you in the right direction. And so I'm not expecting you to have a solution to your difficulty. You may come across the thing that, like so many times for me, I say, wow, this perfectly explains what's going on. I certainly hope that is the case. But you will be able to show, hey, this is the process, and this is what I found. And I'm going to teach you how to do that in the class. So don't worry about this at all. This is what we're going to study together the whole semester, the process of how you do this. And so 350 points for the presentation and 350 points once you've had all the feedback and feedback from me. You get to add that to the final draft of your paper, and you'll turn that in lieu of a final exam. Now, we are going to memorize some scripture, and I've picked, it's not quite a whole chapter, it's a little short of a whole chapter, but it is an important chapter when you're talking about problems in the Bible, because this one chapter, we're going to see, brings together so many of the themes of the story that as we meditate on this, and I hope you'll work on this all semester, you'll begin to see that most every single question in the Bible is connected, beginning of the Bible, end of the Bible, and is, how it's connected with Jesus. When you look at all that, this elegant meta-narrative, plot symmetrical, whole Bible biblical theology just begins to answer so many questions once you understand how the beginning and the end are related through the person of Jesus. And so this memory verse is actually going to help us in lots of ways as we begin to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So if you come to class, if you have to miss quarantine or whatever, I will have these recorded on YouTube. Do your in-class presentation, and I think I have a sign-up sheet somewhere in here. It's probably on the schedule document. I'll post that. But toward the end of the semester is when you'll present your rough draft, and then you'll have a few weeks after that to finalize and turn in your paper. 70% of your grade with the attendance and with the memory verse, that will be the total requirement of the class. But I think what you're going to find is that everyone who comes to the text has the same basic questions, and they're difficult questions. And biblical theology, a whole Bible biblical theology, a Christocentric, meta-narratival, plot symmetrical approach to the scriptures answers, at least begins to answer, so many of even seemingly unrelated problems. In science, I think when you have a theory and it begins to explain not simply your problem, but lots of problems, I think they call it parsimony or parsimony. I'm not sure exactly about the pronunciation, but you have an idea, a theory, and it begins to answer lots of other questions. It's been my experience in biblical studies that a Christocentric whole Bible biblical theology is that it just begins to explain so many of the problem text. And that's what I want to help you begin to understand. And I want to tackle lots of problems, and you can see some of the texts that I've worked through and see how this unified Christocentric approach to Scripture begins to help us massively when we look at biblical theology and the difficult passages of Scripture. So, on our class Tuesday, we don't have any homework, but I would ask you if you would, between now and then, think about a couple of problem passages, problem issues that you would like to see us tackle in this class, and we'll write all those down, and we'll dive into one of the passages that I've looked at, and we'll begin to learn together and to develop this skill of a whole Bible, biblical theology, a Christocentric approach to the difficult passages in Scripture. Listen, I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday.